guys, happy Wednesday. How are you feeling out there? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling nice and healthy. And I hope that all of you guys are feeling the same way because there's a theme to this week's Secrets. Both our callers faked being sick to get out of school. Now, I know that this is something we've all done before. I've definitely pretended to be sick more than 2 times, at least, more than 5 times. More than I can count, to be honest, but all kids try to do it, so parents are definitely expecting it, but sometimes they do fall for it hard. But can you actually take it too far? Well, we're going to find out just in a bit when I speak to Alice and Nick.
The following content contains adult subject matter, including sensitive material, and is intended for adult consumption only. It may not be suitable for all audiences. Therefore, discretion is advised. Lele Pons is not a trained expert, but is using her personal experiences and platform to create a space for sensitive discussions.
But before I go into the callers, I just want to tell you guys how many times I faked being sick. I faked headaches, I faked stomach aches, I've even done the thermometer in hot water trick to make it look like I have a fever. So I got super curious and I started looking online on what people do to convince their parents that they're actually sick. And you guys are crazy. It's easy to fake a cough, but I read about one girl who figured out how to fake sneeze. This is what happened. She would sprinkle pepper on her sweater sleeves so that she could sniff it whenever she wanted to sneeze. What the fuck? Then there was another person I read who said that they would put small amount of toothpaste onto the outside of their bottom eyelid to make their eyes watery. I don't think I'm going to try that. That sounds a lot really painful, but they did warn us that make sure not to get it too close to your eyes and to not leave it on for more than a couple of minutes. This is a good one. Somebody else came up with the way to make it look like you have pink eye using pink red lip gloss and a little bit of Q-tip fuzz. Yuck. That sounds a bit too intense for me. One thing I learned was that it's not just school kids who fake getting sick. Here in the U.S., 52% of employees admitted that they have called in sick to work when they weren't actually sick. Yeah, something I would do and something I've done right now when I'm working. We know on this show, sometimes a lie can get out of hand. So let's get to our first caller, Alice, to hear about how her attempt to ditch school was all fun and games until a surgeon showed up. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Lele. How are you?
I'm good. Because we were dying to know, what is your best kept secret, Alice?
So my best kept secret, which I've had for well over 20 years now, is that when I was a teenager, I had been faking being sick to get out of going to school because I had fallen behind in my homework. And one thing led to another, and I ended up getting my appendix out when I didn't really need it taken out.
Oh, wow. What the fuck?
I know.
You had surgery for this lie.
Yeah, they had to cut me open and take it out.
How old were you?
I think I was 14 because I was a freshman in high school. Had fallen behind in homework, and I was thinking of excuses to not go to school. And my mom was like, no, I don't think there's anything really wrong with you. And she was...
Because were you always playing sick a lot? That's why?
Probably. I probably was always coming up with excuses not to go to school. It's not that I didn't like school. I'm just a really huge procrastinator, and it was really bad when I was younger.
Yeah, no, that was me too. A lot of people are procrastinators.
And I just get so much anxiety over it, though. I procrastinate on something, and I build it up in my head, and I just want to bury my head in the sand and avoid it and not deal with it. So at the time, I was like, well, I'm just going to play sick and not go to school so I don't have to explain why I don't have my homework done.
And did she usually believe you? Was this one different? What did you say to your mom? Did you have fake symptoms for your mom to know that you were not faking at this time?
I was just holding my stomach and, I don't feel good. And she checks me and I don't have a fever. There's, I'm not throwing up. There's not really anything wrong that she can see. So she makes me go to school the next day, and she was a single mom. And she would probably, was just didn't want to deal with it. She's like, you're going to school. Unless you're dying, you're going to school. And I, honestly, I felt fine. So I didn't really fault her for that. I get it. I had fake sick before, whatever. So I go to school the next day and I go to the first couple periods, and then, the class is coming up that I was really behind in for whatever reason. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to tell my teacher that I don't feel well, and she's going to send me to the nurse's office, and the nurse is going to let me take a nap for a little while, and then I can just be on my merry way, and I'm good, and I can worry about these problems tomorrow.
Like, what went through your head when, like, how did your mom take you to the hospital to take your appendix out? Like, that's what I want to know.
Well, I went to the nurse the following day thinking I was just going to take a nap, and the nurse kind of checks me over. And she goes, okay, we'll go lay down. And then she had called my mom, and I don't know what the conversation with the nurse and my mom was, but she called my mom and was like, you need to take your daughter to the emergency room. I think, there's something wrong with her. So my mom leaves work and comes get me, and I don't know.
What a horrible nurse. What the fuck?
Well,
what? How do you get
she
that?
takes me to the hospital, and the doctors and the nurses there are like, well, actually, these symptoms line up with appendicitis.
Did you actually have it, maybe?
No, because I felt fine, and I was just faking any pain that I was having. But I picked a random spot, what I thought was a random spot in my stomach, and saying, oh, it hurts right here.
Did they take x-rays?
Which happens to be...
Or anything?
No, there's not really anything you can do. Apparently, it's just symptom-based. And the problem with appendicitis is that if it does get infected, it can just burst all of a sudden, and then you get sepsis and die.
Why would a doctor give you a surgery you don't need? I just don't understand how that happened.
Because they do it to be safe than sorry. Because if something is wrong with it, then, it is very serious. You can get a really bad infection, and people, before surgery, people would die from it. Or if it goes undiagnosed, it can be a really big deal. And apparently, like, the spot that I was pointing at that I just chose is where my appendix happened to be. And so they really thought that was it. And so I tried to back out of it, like, oh, I feel better. It's really not that bad. Let's just go home. I'm fine. And they're like, no, this is part of it. Sometimes it gets swollen and inflamed and it hurts and it settles back down, but it's just a matter of time before it bursts. And they kept stressing, how urgent this was, and it needed to be dealt with. And I couldn't, at that point in my mind, as a teenager, I was just too far in it, and I was too afraid to say, I'm faking it. So then the next day, I had surgery and they took it out.
That's insane. Why didn't you just come clean or like tell them? That's so scary.
I was a kid, I was too scared to just come out and say it. In my own mind at the time, it was the end of the world if I had come out and said, I'm faking this, and I was young.
Was the surgery recovery really painful?
No, not really. I mean, it was sore, and I was out of school for like a week, and they sent all of my work home.
And did you finish your homework? Did you finish it? Was it all worth it at the end?
Honestly, as I've been talking about this, leading up to speaking with you, I've thought back on it, and it probably wasn't that big of a deal, but I know if my mom found out now.
By talking to me.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell anybody about this?
I have told one person. I've told my boyfriend, and nobody else knows. And when I told him this story, he kind of looked at me like I was crazy. He kind of had the same reaction you're having, like, how did this happen? How did it go through? Like, isn't our medical system perfect?
Do you have a scar?
Yeah, there's a couple there's like 2 little scars. They're not too bad.
So you always remember.
They're there.
What do you think your mom would say if you told her now?
I think at this point she might laugh about it, but she might be a little mad. And I'm thinking about, once this comes out, I might just send her the link to the podcast and say, you should listen to this. It's hilarious.
Wow, please do. I want you to invite her That's gonna be great. This is a message to your mom. Don't be mad. You come here, and if you're mad, let it out here in this podcast.
I feel like I need to send her the link and make sure somebody's there to record her reaction to listening to it.
Wow, send it over.
The moment when she realizes that it's me.
I feel you. I just want to say thank you so much. Now, because of this, we have another one that's probably coming out of this podcast. Another person's coming in for the same story. Thank you so much. I wish you the best. Hopefully your mom does see it. Send her the link, and we'll for sure hear from you again.
All right, sounds good, Lele. Thank you.
Bye, Alice. This was karma. She lied and she got her appendix taken out. She had to suffer something. She went through surgery for lying. Oh, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one. For just homework. That's how far would kids go? Not doing their homework, or for not being caught not doing their homework. This is a new one. I've done a lot of crazy shit, but this was a new one. And hopefully she tells her mom here in this podcast. I would like to hear her. Oh my God, her reaction. I wish I can see it, but we can hear it. Wow, this was crazy. And this, guys, is a warning to everybody who's listening and wants to fake being sick. This is a warning. You can get your appendix out. I still don't understand what happened to her. I don't know how that happened, but we'll talk about it at the end of the show. I'm going to take a quick break, and we're coming back with our second caller after. We're back, guys, and let's get to our second caller, Nick. Nick. We have Nick on the line. Hi, Nick.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. 2021's been great so far.
It was weird. Once midnight hit, it was kind of nice to release 2020, just get rid of it, emotionally.
Yeah, but I want to know, what is your best kept secret? Let it out. Talk about it.
Okay, so I lied about being sick to get out of elementary school for an entire month.
All right, let me tell you, who the fuck hasn't been lying during that time to get out of shit?
But for a month straight?
I'm telling you right now. Let me tell you right now, Nick. I've done some weird shit. I have made people think I have lice because I put fucking pepper from the cafeteria, put it in my hair, and I say I have lice, and people have been like, oh my God, she needs to go home. So
I'm not alone in this.
No, never.
It's good. People lie, is what you're saying.
People lie to get over, listen, because parents are oh my God, school is so important. So important. It's the definition of if you're gonna be successful or not. But at the end of the day, it's what you make of it outside of school. Whether
you think?
Yes, I do think that. Seriously, it's who you are. It's what you make out of it.
Well, I was in a desperate situation because we just moved out to a new town, and so this was a new school for me. I was 8 years old. Yeah. Right? So it was a new school for me, and it was very new, and I didn't know how to adjust. And so one day I was actually sick. My stomach actually hurt, and they let me stay home. And then I said, oh, wait, if I just tell them my stomach hurts, then I don't have to go to school.
Yeah. And then what did they say?
They let me stay home. The next day I said, my stomach hurts again. They let me stay home. Now, on the third day, they weren't buying it. But to soothe your stomach, you put on a heating pad, on your stomach to make it soothe. I was 8 years old. I took a thermometer. I wrapped it in the heating pad and then pretended I had a temperature.
Oh,
because the thermometer went up to 100 or something, and then I put it. I said, "Ma, it's worse than stomach ache. I'm telling you."
Wow.
And they saw the thermometer, and then they started to get worried.
Let me tell you something I did one time. So in my school, they had in the
the school nurse.
Yeah, the school nurse. There was a microwave. So what I did, I put hot water in there, and then I drink the hot water. Right. And then they were like, wow, she is super sick. So that's one of the things that I did Kids, whoever is listening to this, do not do it, okay? Sometimes they're like, what the fuck? You're not 110. You'll be dying. But yeah, no, I understand. Listen, you doing that is something that I know a lot of people have done. I have. So I'm not going to be that fake person who's going to say I haven't done it, because I have been the first one in my school who did it, and people went after and did exactly what I did.
I mean, but this thing haunts me to this day because I feel bad. My father had to take off an entire month off of work, and they brought me to all these doctors and these specialists, and they couldn't find what was wrong with me because I was lying. And I was putting up with it. I was like, all right, I get to hang out with Dad. This isn't so bad. But he would drive me around to all these doctors and specialists, and they couldn't find what was wrong with me. But then one of the doctors they said they needed a stool sample. And, I'm 8 years old. I don't know what a stool sample is.
Of course.
And my mom had to she had to take the stool sample from the toilets from me to hand it in. But before that, they had to give me a suppository. I'm 8 years old. Nobody told me that they were going to do
A month is such a long time. Were your parents scared of something like serious was going on?
So the thing was, when I was born, I had twisted intestines.
Oh, no.
But everything was fine. They said that he'll grow out of it, whatever. And I did. So they were worried that this was that. And I didn't know about that. But now they were freaking out thinking like, oh, it's his intestines again. The same stuff that happened when he was born. But I was fine. I was just lying. I didn't want to go to school.
Did you feel bad about putting them through all that stuff in all this time?
Oh, I felt terrible.
What did they ask you?
Well, they kept asking me like, what happens when your stomach hurts? Is it a sharp pain? Is it a dull pain? Where does it hurt? Is it diarrhea or is it constipation? And then my parents are like, well, maybe it's what you eat. What did you eat? This, that. And I was just making things up as I go. But then this is like 2 or 3 weeks later, and I feel bad because I put my parents through hell for this.
Yeah, so you felt bad.
I feel bad. But 2 or 3 weeks later, I haven't been to school for about 2 or 3 weeks. Child Services comes to the house. They have to check it out. They're like, your kid hasn't been to school for 3 weeks. But luckily, I feel bad. But luckily, my mom, they talked to my mom, and they saw that she was cool, and they saw me, and everything was good. But still, that could have went sour real quick.
Did you realize then that maybe you took it too far?
At that point, I was starting to question it. But what did me in was almost like a month after it, the last week, my father took me to this big specialist in this big hospital in New York City. We had to drive like 3 hours down to get there. And at this point, I'm starting to freak out a little bit. Like, I've been doing this for a month. How am I going to get out of this? Like, what's the end game here? The doctor pulls out the biggest needle I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know where he's going to put this thing. So that was it. At that moment, I said, I got to tell my dad.
Yeah, I'm afraid of needles, so I understand you.
So I pulled my dad aside and I said, Dad, I lied. I lied about all of this. And,
oh, shit. What did he say?
Of course, he freaks out. And he's freaking out, yelling at me, are you fucking crazy? I spent all month. I couldn't go to work. We were not only that, but I was worried sick about you every single day. None of the doctors knew what was wrong. I spent so much money on tests and specialists, and he went all out.
Ooh, and that was your dad. What did your mom say?
So here's the thing: we're driving back up. It's the quietest car ride I've ever had in my life. I'm embarrassed he won't talk to me. But I'm the baby of the family. And, he's got a little special soft place in his heart for me. At the end of the ride, I said, Dad, can we please not tell Mommy? And he looked at me and he winked. So we didn't tell Mommy. Until this day, Mommy thinks that was true. And the reason why I suffer from this till this day, whenever I eat around my mother, I'm 29 years old. Whenever I eat around her, she goes, be careful what you eat. You don't want that stomach ache to come back. So I'll be reminded of this for the rest of my life.
Oh, how did you convince your dad to keep it a secret from your mom?
He had a special place, because I'm the baby.
Yeah.
And he really did spoiled me a little bit when I was younger.
Of course.
I guess he understood too, because he was never crazy about like school or whatever. So maybe he understood and had sympathy because this was a new town and stuff. But I'm lucky that he never told her.
I don't think you should tell your mom because she'll be mad at you and your dad. Yeah. I
don't want her to think any less of me than she does already.
Well, let me tell you, people do this shit. Let me tell you, I've done it many times. I know people that have done it. You know, they make you think of something about school that if you don't make up a grade or if you don't do something like, you know, it's the end of the world. So I understand where you were coming from.
It was funny because at one point they had like done an x-ray and they said, oh, he has an enlarged spleen. They couldn't find anything. Nothing was, the enlarged spleen is nothing. And then at one point I was at home and I said, Mom, my spleen hurts. What? Who says that? She goes, do me a favor, point to your spleen. I had no idea where it was. So I'm pointing at my stomach.
You know what? Our first caller faked being sick too and ended up having surgery to remove her appendix.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it gets worse. Yeah, she never came clean.
Wow. Okay, I'm glad I stopped when I did, because who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing this with us. Thank you for talking to us about this. When I was a child, I would have loved to hear this type of podcast because I could tell you all the things I've done. It's weird. A lot of things. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. I'm glad I got it off my chest. Bye.
You know what? This is what kids do. Seriously, like, it's hard to be the new kid of a school. I was the new kid of this one school. I did a lot of bad things. It's, you know what? It's something we all do. Whether you're the smart kid, you have definitely seen someone struggle. And I am completely on his side. It is very fucking hard. So have some sympathy for him. And you know what? That's how it is. It's hard. In school, they make you think that if you don't pass something, it's the end of the world. You're not going to be successful, anything like that. But it's not true, guys. It's not true. I have failed every fucking test I've ever had. And I'm here. So it's okay. If you fail one test, and I'm telling you, if you fail one test, 2 tests, 3 tests, it's okay. Get back on your feet. You can do it. And you know what? The crazy thing about his story is that he convinced his dad not to tell his mom. Usually it's the other way around for me. It's my mom who can't tell my dad stuff. So good luck to him. Well, he's good now, so. All right, guys, we talked a lot on this show about the cost of keeping secrets. There's no better example of that than our first caller, Alice, because when she didn't come clean, she literally lost a fucking organ. I mean, what the fuck? If I were her mom and Alice came clean to me one day, like, I would probably just laugh at her. Like, be like, that's what you deserve. Or maybe I'd be like, I knew it the whole time. That was just like a lesson for you. I mean, I've had surgery and it's not an easy or pleasant experience, so I definitely don't think going through all that is worth it just for a week off of school, you know? I literally couldn't believe this story, but my producer looked into her story and guaranteed me that it's 100% real. It's just really funny to me, like, also as a doctor, like, what? I don't want to question anybody here. I actually relate to Nick because I remember what it was like being the new kid at school, and I know how scary it could be. I'm sure I faked being sick for the same reason and missed a couple of days of school, but Nick fully committed to his performance and stayed out of school for a whole month. And, you know, when we're young, we don't fully understand the consequences of our actions, but now looking back, he understands what he put his parents through, not just emotionally, but financially because of his medical bills and the time his dad took off work to look after him. Unlike Alice, though, Nick came clean to his dad when he came face to face with a needle. I can't imagine how angry his dad was and how awkward that drive home would be. I think it's cute that his dad didn't tell his mom, but in a way that's only made the situation a little bit more complicated. His mom is still worried about his stomach all these years later, and now both Nick and his dad are keeping the secret from her. Both our callers will have to live with their secrets forever, just in very different ways. And I'll tell you one thing. If either of these week's callers have kids one day, it's going to be impossible for the kids to fake being sick. Their parents are experts. They know what's up. So my question of the week is, I think we all know, if you were Alice, would you have come clean or gone through with the surgery? I would come clean, to be honest. I think I'd have probably, come clean. But let me know what your thoughts are on my story at Lele Pons. And that's it for today, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next week for more Best Kept Secrets. Bye.
If you or someone you know are struggling emotionally, text START to 741-741 for a confidential chat anytime.
Thanks for listening to Best Kept Secrets with me, Lele Pons, only on Spotify in partnerships with Shot Studios. The Shot Studios original team includes creators John Shahidi and Sam Shahidi, my lovely producer Belinda Mercer, and audio editor Stephen Colon. From Spotify Studios, executive producers Javier Pinot, Liz Gately, Gina Delvac, and Danny Trebodge. And a special thanks to Dan Behar, Jessica Molina, Francisco Quijada, and Julio Pabon. I'm Lele. Follow me on Instagram at Lele Pons and check out my exclusive merch at lilshop.com. That is lilshop, Lil shop.com. Talk to you next week.